The last time we checked on Rosie, the storm came, and with it, a flood that destroyed her home. Rosie was cold, scared, and unsure of everything. Yet despite everything, she learned how to pray. She realized, even when she is weak, God can make her strong. She began walking, not because she knew where to go, but because she believed that God was guiding her. As she continued her journey, it became more and more difficult. The path she was walking was uncertain, and the days felt much longer than they did before.
Rosie's legs were sore, and she was exhausted because she has been walking for quite some time now. Hunger panged at her as she had not eaten since she left her destroyed home. Her thoughts became sad, whispering to her bad things.
Did the sun forget about me? Did I make a mistake? What if it was all just in my head?
Rosie kept walking forward, trying her best not to cry. She climbed up a steep hill and wiped the sweat from her brow as she was determined to keep going. She had no food, no water, no idea where she was going. She just knew she had to keep pressing forward. Looking up, she saw the beauty of the sun shining down on her. She should have felt encouraged, but she didn't. Her heart was anxious and downcast as her body began to wane from the lack of nourishment and the constant walking. Exhausted in both mind and body, little Rosie collapsed under a tree and looked up towards the sun.
Sun,
she says,
I thought if I prayed things would get easier. I thought that if I kept looking up, you would not fail me. You said you'd always be there. You said that you would provide and protect me. But instead, my life feels harder. I feel so alone and lost now more than ever. I feel like I am so close to giving up. I just don't understand. I am doing everything right. I am praying. I am believing. I am reaching out to you even when I am weak. Why aren't you helping me? Where are you?
Rosie breathed as the wind whispered through the trees. As she looked around her, she remembered how the sun takes care of the birds and the bees. She remembered how the sun also takes care of the flowers in the field. As Rosie continued to gaze out into the forest, the sweet birdsong caught her attention. She listened to their soothing melodies, but it did not soothe her aching heart. Knowing that sitting around would not get her anywhere, she wiped her face, got up, and continued walking. As she walked, she constantly reminded herself to have faith, because she knows that faith is not about knowing what is ahead. Faith is about trusting and believing in the sun even when you don't understand his plan. She walks through the ravine, over the rocks, and across creeks. In her weariness, she decided to talk to the sun.
I don't know why all this has happened or what future lies ahead,
she says.
But I believe you are still with me. I need to believe that everything is in your plan. I will believe. Sun, please give me the strength to keep going.
Her paws hurt. Her stomach growls louder, but she does not need to see the whole picture. She just needs to keep walking and keep believing. She says to herself,
I will not let my doubts win. I will not let my fears break my faith. I will keep going because the sun said he will always take care of me. I can do it.
Hours pass, and the sun, once warm and comforting, now feels hot and overbearing. The heat of the sun drained whatever energy Rosie had left, so Rosie looked for a place to rest. Joy filled her heart as she saw a creek just ahead of her. Rosie hopped down and drank and drank and drank. After Rosie had her fill of water, she felt the weariness overcome her. Looking over the water, she noticed giant lilies and their lily pads. There were so many of them. Seeing one was right under a tree bearing shade, she hopped over and fell asleep. Rosie slept for a while and slowly began to wake. She realized her shade was now gone. She felt hungry, tired, hot, sad, and now frustration filled her little body. This was the last straw. Rosie looked up angrily at the sun.
All I wanted was to rest. I have been walking all day with no food, and just when I thought I could have a little bit of peace, I woke up from my nap and now I'm sunburned.
Rosie couldn't hold back her tears as she cried out,
Son, why? Why is my life so hard? I trusted you, and now I am in more pain than I was before. I need your help, and it feels like you're not here.
Rosie lies down on her water lily crying, questioning everything.
I tried, son, I tried. My legs hurt. I cannot walk anymore. I am so hungry that I can barely stand up. I am lost. You told me that you would always be there. But where are you? Where are you, son?
After some time had passed, Rosie finished crying. She lay there on the lily, staring across the creek, when she suddenly felt a gust of wind blow by her small little white rabbit ears. Rosie looked around and realized the water lily she was sleeping on had been plucked from the side of the riverbed and had been floating down the river the whole time. Rosie stood up, looking at the water gently dragging her lily pad downstream. She looked around, very scared, but at the same time confused about how this all happened. When did the lily pad's stem break? Finding new strength in the confusion, Rosie turned and saw where the lily pad was floating to. Up ahead, there was a massive tree, strong and wide, standing on top of the hill. This great tree had gigantic branches and roots that were more than big enough to house over 100 burrows. The sun spoke to Rosie.
Rosie, I heard you crying. I counted every tear that came down your face. I counted even the tears that you wiped away. When you grew tired, I provided a lily pad for you to rest. And when the sun was too much to bear, I provided water for you to drink. And I provided shade for you to lay down. Rosie, you must understand, when you were too tired to walk and went to sleep, I plucked your water lily and pulled it into the stream to float along this creek, so that while you were resting, I could carry you to this tree that you see in front of you now.
Rosie began to cry, but now there were tears of joy. The wind blew again, and Rosie's water lily that was floating on the river floated down to the river bed, where Rosie was able to safely hop back on land. Rosie, now filled with energy from the excitement and new hope, ran to the top of the hill. As she reached the top of the hill, looked at the horizon, and saw fields of flowers with vegetables and endless amounts of fresh green grass. Happiness began bubbling up in her chest, and as she looked around the tree, other animals began to appear. A cheerful bear cub walked to Rosie and said,
Hey there, we have been waiting for you.
You were?
Yes, the sun told us someone special was coming.
Rosie laughed for the first time in days. With joy, Rosie ran up to the giant tree and noticed that one of the tree's larger branches lay low on top of the hill. She went to that branch and found an opening.
It's perfect,
she said.
Dry, warm, and safe. No flood can reach it. No wind can knock it down. And that's when Rosie realized this was always the plan. Even when she was in the storm, even when she lost everything, God was preparing something greater than she could ever imagine. Sometimes what feels like a setback is really a setup for something better, something safer, something stronger. Rosie now knows God was not ignoring her. God was not punishing her. God was preparing a new home for her. And though he was silent, he was always in the background, orchestrating everything.
Rosie looked around at her new friends. She smiled as she gazed at her new home. And as she took in a deep breath, she says,
Son, thank you. I almost gave up, but you never gave up on me. Thank you for everything.
The sun warmly replied,
My child, I've always had a plan for you, not to harm, but for good. You just had to have faith. I never forgot you. I tested your faith as I was leading you all along.
Even when I could not see it, you were working. Even when I doubted, you stayed close. Even when I was weak, you gave me strength. You were answering my prayers. I just didn't see it. And in the end, you were there all along. Thank you, son.
My friend who is watching this, Maybe right now, your life feels like Rosie. Maybe you are in the middle of your trial and feel lost. Maybe your old life is gone and you don't know where your life is going. Maybe the path feels long, painful, and uncertain. But let Rosie's story remind you. God sees your tears. God hears your prayers. God is working for you even when you cannot see it. He is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to keep walking, to keep praying, to keep believing. Because when you trust Him, you'll find that His plan may be better than anything you have ever imagined. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." If this story has touched your heart today, do not stop here. Rosie's journey is far from over. There will be new adventures, new lessons, new trials and tribulations. Just remember, even if you cannot see the ending, God already beautifully wrote your story. Stay strong. Keep on keeping on. Move forward and hold fast to your faith. We will see you on the next story. Thank you for watching.